Alright, it is 9:54 a.m. I had a trade with GTII, and this one was nerve-wracking, but I think I gave it the best that I had, and I want to see if it can try to get above VWAP because that would show if it became just a setup that worked versus a setup that really worked. I did take a consideration in the GTII, and a really important level that I saw was 485. As you can see, if I put it at 485, it's like a very major support level throughout this entire time right here, and it was also, a level where it would break under and then come back a few times back here. So I thought it was a super important level. And the idea was is that it was downtrending. I was watching this. This one was kind of hard to judge in terms of trend lines, but I did have one based off of here, and it followed it pretty nicely for what it was. And then I did one over the top section as well, and it was trading along the bottom side of it. And it got to the point where it was trading around that 485 level, and it was, like trying to hold on to it. It had like a wick here to the 470s, and then we had this where it looked like it was trying to maybe break past this trend line, but then it kind of sold itself and it got right in the middle of these two trend lines. But then when it was starting to hold itself together after doing that and the price action started to look a little different, I did take a consideration. I bought 100 shares at 481, which was at 946, which was so right here, 481 at the very top of this candle, right after this red one that had the wick and everything, and I'm pretty happy with my entry overall. It was very nerve-wracking. I had a new trend line that I drew from this wick, the bottom, to the corner of the first uptrending candle, and that one helped out. It's actually still holding it for the most, well, I guess not anymore, but for the most part it was. And the only thing that wasn't really that nice with this setup is that VWAP was very close. So again, that level of support 485 and then VWAP is at 493, so not the best range for profitability. I did sell just a portion, 20 shares at 484 at 951, and that was because it was struggling to break up past this 485 level. And before it broke past it like it did here, there was that chance that maybe it would just top at this support level, now resistance, and it's going to head back under it. So I did sell 20 shares there, just a little, so that if it were to fail and then get back, in the 470s, and if it were to have broken this trend line right here, I would have been able to cut the trade and then, not lose as much because I at least sold some for a profit. And then once we did break past this range, I did take some conservative sells just because of the fact that VWAP is pretty close and it might not get above it. I did sell 50 shares at 486 and a half. That was at 952 right here, 486 and a half. And then I sold my last piece, 30 shares at 490. That was at 953, which was a pretty good sell, I think, for what it was. It didn't get above VWAP, but maybe this thing can do a higher low and then get above VWAP, but that will be a different setup. It's possible that, it just traded around that level, broke under it a few times, and then came back and made a little baby uptrend, and then it sells off, and then it holds that level. So now it's going to be support again, and then it makes a move above VWAP. It can totally do that. And the other one, this one was super nice. A little sketchy, a little scary to trade, but I'm just not able to trade this one on Fidelity. Fidelity has the stock restricted, but this one also offered a setup. I don't have trend lines here, but I do have it on the other screen, right? Maybe something like this, and then perhaps something for the bottom part, although might not be as helpful, but you can see how it broke past it right here. It had a wick, and then I like how it sold off again, but it wasn't able to get below these lows in the 570s or the 560s. So this would have been a buy, but this one's very scary the way it trades. It trades with a very wide spread, and that was a move from the 590s to the 7s. So this one was much more profitable, but a lot scarier. And again, something I can't trade. Nothing with ILUS, nothing with TXTM, although, yeah, there isn't actually anything here. It did have a sell-off, but I mean, this doesn't really have that much volume. I'm going to remove TGGI. That's pretty much it. I'll keep looking at GTII again. It's potentially doing that higher low. and then, break above VWAP later. But one thing in the consideration, I never liked how it looked on a 20-day chart, 15-minute candle. Just seems like a descending triangle, or maybe a symmetrical triangle. I guess it did break the top part of it, but I don't know. Then it broke the bottom part, and then it tried to regain itself towards the top part, and then it sold off, and I feel like it could sell off even more, but who knows? I'll make an update later. Just one trade so far. I'm happy I traded that one a lot better than the one with IOUS, and this one didn't work as nicely, but it was still a decent setup, and it still got to VWAP. Okay, it is 10:26. Unfortunately, I was not looking at the computer, but it did do the higher low setup, and this one worked out a lot better than the trade I took here. This one went, in theory, maybe I would have taken an entry in the 489 level because it just seems like it had a really big rush towards the top and it broke the range of 485 and everything, and it held this level. It had a wick right here, but it was higher than this range, and then we had this candle right here that's did it actually trade volume? No, it had no volume, but this was definitely a transition point, and maybe if I was looking at it, I could have taken an entry at 489, unless I saw something obvious show up here, maybe like a big bidder show up at the bid, and then I would have been in maybe at like 486 or something like that. But I'm gonna guess I would have been at 489 if I was in it. And then it did do an uptrend. I probably would have gone out of it by now, maybe around here, because if I were to draw maybe a trend line, all right, you can see how it broke past it. Probably would have maybe have considered selling on the way up. And then maybe when this line broke and everything, I would have sold the rest. This was real. I did see like a little print go through at 485, but I mean, this, it wasn't like a whole bunch of price action happened all the way towards the bottom. It was just one print. And yeah, this one would have been even more profitable again than that other setup. And this isn't just like a higher low. It does look like an inverse head and shoulders. You could say this is the shoulder. It had the wick. It had the head right here, the uptrend, and then it had that shoulder. So not just a higher low, but an inverse head and shoulders. And then it breaks VWAP. Yeah, this was another setup. This one worked out. I totally deserve missing out on it because I wasn't looking at it, the computer, when this happened, but at least I was on the right track with that one. And yeah, there isn't anything else that I'm really looking at, anything that I want to trade, so I might catch up with a whole bunch of other work, but yeah, this could have been a nice day. I wonder, I guess in at 489, maybe outs at 499 average, maybe that would have been 10 bucks, with 100 shares. And I am still trying to trade a $100 risk level, even though I bought just 100 shares at 41 at 946. I don't want to trade like a weird size, like, 120 shares to make it exactly $100 risk level, and then I get filled because I have a weird size. I was thinking again, worst case scenario, this one breaks the day low, right when I got in. Of course, as it started to work, I was going to raise my risk level, but I was thinking worst case scenario, I'm going to cut it if it breaks the day low, and maybe we have like another one of these, and it starts to panic even further. I mean, because it would just really confirm a break below the 485 level. But that didn't happen. It did bounce. I'll make an update later, maybe when the market is closed, unless I see something else. That's all I have for right now. Okay, it is 8:14 p.m. and I'm here to call it off. Overall, I'm going to be up on a day, $6.10, one trade with GTII, morning panic bounce play, and I'm really happy with the way I traded this one. And even though it didn't offer that much range, I mean, I was in at this 481 level, and the highest it got to was 491, which is 10 bucks max on 100 shares. It did get to VWAP, which is the goal, and it was a good practice because it was exactly what I need to have in terms of mindset when I trade a morning panic bounce play. Just that the range wasn't that nice, and I missed out on the ultimates inverse head and shoulders that broke past VWAP, and this was a lot nicer, and this would have been a lot more profitable. But even in this case, I mean, I guess 490, and then best case scenario is a sell on the 515. So maybe best case 25 bucks on 100 shares, which is not bad at all, but this thing doesn't offer the best range, at least compared to MMTLP, which is a lot more massive. I was watching this. I never traded it because of the fact that I can't on Fidelity, but at one point I was actually considering maybe even a buy on my Schwab trading account, but I didn't because of the fact that it charges around $14 a commission, so I didn't want to really pay commissions, and then, if the setup doesn't work out, or maybe I sell for a loss or whatever, or even for a profit, if it's not that much more than where I bought, especially in this case where maybe it didn't bounce that much. 386 to 448. Actually, no, this is pretty good. This is pretty good range. It just would have been a lot trickier because I would have to pay commissions and it could really take away profits or make a setup a lot, more of a loss than what it should be. That's pretty much it for today. Another day in theory trading $100 risk level. And again, I might go back to 40 or 50, but at least right now it seems to be going well. And yeah, it just seems like I'm also being really cautious with setups, but I pick good setups more often than not. I just need to try a few things better and be more aggressive when I'm in the setup, or actually, no, not even be aggressive. Just take more setups and learn to hold better. That's all I have for today.